Hello, I'm drinking the last of my biscuit flavoured tea bags, which is awfully appropriate because it gives me the same feeling that this overclock gives me, which is... I'm going to pick up the controller first. Shield battery booster. Anyway, so yeah, shield battery booster. Welcome back to Overclock Showcase. This week we're talking about this absolutely abhorrent piece of shit. No, shield battery booster is an unstable overclock for the Drac that can't even fit all of its information in the window there. So you can see. That's how good it is. This overclock is awesome. It is definitely not my favourite Drac overclock, but the thing is the Drac has such an amazing selection. Like literally, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one are actually all S tier. This one is good. This one's actually fine, but at least it's weird. And this one is there if you are, I guess, just an old person who just can't handle anything more interesting than like a, tikka masala. You know, you crumble at the sight of a Rogan Josh. Anyway, the shield battery booster definitely has some notoriety. It is the only overclock that directly interacts with anything in your kit outside of well, that's not true. Well, that's anything in your kit aside from the weapons themselves. Obviously, the stubby has some turret stuff going on, but what we're talking about though is player stats, like so your actual health and shield values and things like that. Shield battery booster, as you can see there, significantly reduced shield regeneration delay. It literally, if you take the upgrade on the armor rig that also improves the delay, it literally goes down to 0.1 seconds. Which is why, even though this is something I should have experimented with actually, because I did a lot of practice for this video. This is in both builds. I don't know if there's really a reason to use regeneration rate. As far as I know, if you take the delay, that is actually overall the fastest way to get your shield back up. But sometimes it feels pretty bad when you go from 0. But for the most part, as long as you don't go down to 0, your shield gets back up pretty much immediately. And of course, you probably do know what shield battery booster does, but basically, as long as your shield is full, you gain 5.5 damage per shot, and plus like 100% velocity, I think. It actually says, which is weird. Hold on. Yeah, it tells you how much velocity it adds, but it's not telling you how much damage it adds. Anyway, so yeah, when we're on this version, when we're at full shield, we would do 14.5 damage per shot, which doesn't sound like insane, but you combine that with the velocity, and you combine that with what this overclock does aside from that, because shield battery booster is actually, it's not just a clean disguised and unstable. It is literally a clean with an unstable stacked on top of it. So the clean effect is in the first bullet point there that you can't read. Small increase in fire rate and battery capacity. I don't know what the fire rate is, but I'm pretty sure that it's only 100 ammo, but that's the point. That's a clean overclock in and of itself. 1 rate of fire, 100 ammo. It's not much, but it's something, especially when you pile on the other aspects, the damage and the velocity and that shield buff. So how do you make 2 builds that really take advantage of this? Well, one thing you do is keep safety in mind, and that is this one. So this is a very straightforward, good Boltshark build for crowd control and crowd clearing. It is fire bolts, but I have chosen to take, it's fire bolts with pheromone bolts. So I've chosen to take more pheromone bolts by taking expanded special quiver in tier 2. So I would typically take more normal bolts, to have 27 fire bolts and 9 pheromone bolts. In this case, we have 20 fire bolts and 13 pheromone bolts. That's literally just to keep stuff away from us. And it also, that means you don't necessarily have to put your grenade into that kind of thing, because I guess literally all the other grenade options completely disable enemies, unlike the IFG that still, technically leaves the enemies operational. But it kind of gives us a damage that we kind of want, because while the damage is very good as far as it goes, as far as improving the base Drac damage goes, it's still not loads of damage per shot when you have over 1,000 bullets to get through, basically. So I find the IFG is really nice there, basically. But as far as the Drac itself goes, Now, the penalty here is more heat per shot, and the fact that if you overheat, your shield collapses. That shouldn't be a problem if you're good. I chose for this one to go for both heat mods, so this basically means less heat per shot, so we can shoot for longer, and our cooling process is more generous. I started with only this one. I think that made sense because I think with the more ammo but also less damage that we could potentially have, makes sense to be able to shoot for a little bit longer just to make sure we can sort of target down without as much fuss about heat. But at the same time, this is definitely a spray and pray style for the weapon. It is our single target, but it's also going to be used on general stuff, and in certain situations we might just spray it into crowds. So I want to make sure there's no real problem of downtime. I was using accuracy beforehand, and that is a perfectly valid option. In fact, both of these are, but I decided to just go for the heat. And I've already discussed this is sort of the ammo-focused one. We've got a lot of ammo to work with. It just really goes into that. It's the highest ammo you can get on the Drac as far as the actual numbers go, the stat card. Rewiring mod can potentially net you a lot more ammo than this, but you have to obviously make good use of the overheating mechanic there. Anyway, let's talk about, well, okay, so also, I've taken armor raking in both, and there's a reason for that. I think in this case, it just makes the Drax so much more self-sufficient. I think there are plenty of reasons to use both of the other upgrades, but I think it really makes a lot of sense here. And as far as the other build goes, it's a cryo build. I find the electricity a bit redundant there, but at the same time, there are still enemies like Brundles and things that I want armor breaking for that I'm not going to be able to freeze in time. Plasma Splash. Plasma Splash is potentially my only sticking point. It's not even a bad idea. It's actually not a bad idea. But what it also kind of is annoying, because it doesn't get any benefits from Shield Battery Booster itself. So what you'd have here is like 9.5 direct damage and then the 5 area damage. That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. I just wish Plasma Splash maybe, if Shield Battery Booster's damage bonus was a percentage, then maybe it could also apply to Plasma Splash instead, or as well as you could distribute the damage bonus across the two. Then it'd actually be a reason to use it. I think that's how it should be, really, because I think that just makes things more interesting. But alas, so I don't really have a good reason to use anything other than armor breaking. That's kind of what Shield Battery Booster does, though. It makes the Drac very self-sufficient. Anyway, tier 5. Now I have chosen thermal feedback loop here, because as far as the tier 5s go, it's the only one that you should use. You should absolutely never use manual heat dump with this. Bad idea. Unless you think you can do something that where you use the shield break static discharge, like deliberately. Maybe there's something there. Maybe I should have thought about that. I don't want to. I've chosen to use a thermal feedback loop here though, because I've taken both heat mods, so I think I can justify it. And it does feel pretty good as long as you can keep the heat controlled. But the weirdest thing about this overclock is the fact that basically you don't really want to use either tier 5 of it. So let's take a quick glance over the other build. That's not it. There it is. As you can see, no tier 5 because you don't want one. Like I said, yeah, thermal feedback loop is the only one that you want. But the truth is, both of those overclocks make you much more likely to overheat. In fact, technically speaking, thermal feedback loop is the one that makes you more likely to, because that's just how it works, right? So, great work, mate. Great work, Harry. Very good. Anyway, let's get started with Shield Battery Booster. This should be a pretty clean operation, really. I've practiced for this one a lot because I do genuinely really like this overclock. I think it's such a brilliant idea. What's weird though, because obviously now I get to do a bit of a history lesson. I don't really remember all the details though of this overclock's history, because it used to be worse, basically. And if my memory doesn't betray me, the difference actually was the shield regeneration delay, and which is something I want you to keep your eye on. The shield regeneration delay buff is actually ridiculously good. But if I'm not mistaken, that's actually what it didn't have before. And that's what made it so punishing to use, because Deep Rock is a game full, from like a game with a sort of fairly standard shield system, unlike Rogue Corps. Although I wouldn't know, because this has been recorded long before then. I'm getting the feeling Rogue Corps might potentially be out by the time this video goes up. I'm not sure about that though. But Deep Rock is a game full of chip damage, basically lots of little sources of damage that deal a small amount of damage to you. You know, ineffectual in the moment, but potentially fatal in the long run, and detrimental to using an overclock like this that relies on your shield being full. Hence why also the overclock provides essentially zero value in shield disruption. That is where I actually do really respect though the fact that it still gives you a small bonus. Like the fact that it's technically a clean, it does mean this is an overclock that you can use in any circumstance without like any issue, potentially. And of course there's also things like the Stalker. The Stalker is actually a massive problem for this overclock. But yeah, so I do believe that they added in the shield regeneration delay buff later, and that's kind of what made this overclock good. I always saw it as good because those extra little bells and whistles, the base fire rate and ammo, have been there the entire time. So it's something I kind of always respected. In fact, it actually used to be higher. It used to be 150 ammo, I think. And I think they brought it down when they gave it the shield regeneration thing, which is entirely fine. I don't think that made the overclock any worse. In fact, it technically made it better because the shield regeneration delay is, of course, the main selling point. Well, the shield associated buffs are the main selling point. But I've kind of always liked this overclock, and it's only gotten better over time. So I want to really give just hats off to Ghost Ship for this is probably one of the best overclocks in the game. Weirdly enough, I'd probably put it like fairly low down in the S tier. I don't think it's like literally in like the top 10 or anything even, but I do think just design wise, like the concept through to the design that we have now is probably one of the most satisfying sort of just implementations of an overclock. Anyway, now I need to actually think about what the fuck's happening. So obviously we've got a pheromone bolt situation here, which they're pretty simple to use. I think most of you probably understand how pheromone bolts work, but I'm absolutely going to use it on that guy. Yeah, so a big thing is just trying to avoid damage as often as possible, which is not always going to be possible. It can get very annoying. I think I'll take this Slasher though. Slasher, well not Slasher, Beastmaster itself is something that is going to help massively with how you'll say crowd control and sort of keep enemies away from us, because Steve will sort of just take a lot of the heat for us. He's a good lad. There we go. Yeah, you will notice, I'm pretty sure the velocity mod that you can put on the Drac by default is actually quite a bit stronger than this velocity, but I still really like having it. It definitely makes it easier to hit things at a range. It kind of makes you realise how slow the Drac's projectiles are without any kind of velocity buff. Just stay quite slow. I think I'm actually going to be doing secondary objectives as well here, because you might have noticed that my scout is level 24, about halfway through. I want to make sure I, you know, hopefully level up during this recording. Oh dear, that wasn't very good, was it? But yeah, something about the ammo that I want to say as well is taking that extra ammo does make it more forgiving as well, though, with sort of the shield associated effects, because it means we're not as tied down, like having to always be at full shield to use the weapon. Basically, you have a little bit more justification in just using it casually, even if your shields aren't full. Unlike the next build, which sort of accounts for that potentially not always being the case, like pretty heavily. Right, it's gonna be some classic firebolt stuff here. Alright, there's still that menace. Oh, look, there's two. There's two menaces. That's too many. Shit. Okay, that might have looked a little bit weird though, but that is something you are meant to do with menaces, with firebolts, because you don't want to stun them, because then they'll just go away. But if you put the firebolt next to them, you're far more likely to actually set them on fire. Yeah, so this is the build where the direct damage doesn't seem as, like, monstrous as you might expect from the Overclock. But obviously, the next build, we're going to be speccing into damage, it's, as far as upgrades go, and it's a Cryo build as well. So that's going to be really showing off the, you know, the zenith of the kind of damage you can deal with this Overclock. This is more so, for me, this build is more so about what this Overclock adds in terms of just general usability and survivability even. Having the shield upgrade. But yeah, like I said, just keep an eye on the shield bar in the bottom left, and you'll see how powerful the effect is. In fact, I should be able to just do a very quick, like, basic demonstration of that. So let's just get some damage. I'm thinking I'm being way too safe to make this work. Okay, that's a bit more like it. There we go. Nice and quick. Right. Probably don't need to cut anything here because this should spawn some enemies when I start working on this thing. Okay. Oh, okay, there's something. Oh, swarmers. Alright, let's just shred these grunts. Straight up. No nonsense. Although it's not this Overclock specifically, but there are a lot of things that make me wish the Drac somehow had some kind of stun. But then again, it will probably get really strong. Like, the only way to disrupt enemies with the Drac is with aggressive venting, because that inflicts fear. That right there, by the way, with the Praetorian, is probably the best you're going to see as far as single target goes on this build. Just an IFG on a Praetorian. Works very well. Or just shooting Goo Bombers' weak points. That usually goes well as well. But yeah, like I said, I am playing up the safety aspect of this Overclock, and that is going to hopefully be exemplified by playing a salvage operation, where we're going to be under a lot of pressure in the sort of last few minutes of the mission. Okay. Okay. Also, I'm recording this. I don't mind talking about this now. I'm not going to do any speculation though. I think I have done for like the last couple, but this has been recorded literally on the Sunday before the week of the On the Horizon broadcast. So that obviously has passed about a month ago now, I think, as far as when this comes out. So I'm sure there's been a fallout of things. Like I said, it's entirely possible that Robocall has come out by the time this video comes out. Obviously, I can't say that for sure. And like I said, I'm not going to speculate. But yeah, so this is being recorded a couple of days before that On the Horizon broadcast happens. We'll see. And you all have seen. Oh, be careful there, because these guys could easily activate. Or they could potentially activate a explosive plant. I'm not careful. Yeah, Brundles, these are the kind of things you want unbreaking for, because freezing in Brundle, not easy. And that armor is tough, so they are the kind of thing you really do want unbreaking for. Luckily, your pickaxe power attack is pretty good against a Brundle, so that's fine as well. Okay, that's pretty close. Well, I suppose I know I'm going to want to resupply here, so I might as well pull that down.
Roger that. Supplies are coming.
Oh yeah, Callstone. Sorry, I've actually faced some pretty nasty adversity from stalkers while using this Overclock, so I'm just being really like focused on making sure that thing died. Right, let's get this done. Because I think I did do a Warstone yesterday and failed. Yeah, we'll see. I think I will try it. But
Fuel is functional again. Great work.
the thing is, the Drax base damage is very low. So, as good as Shield Battery Booster is, as far as like adding damage, it adds a lot of damage. If you're not speccing into it in any other way, it's still not going to seem incredible. The Drax is really not specifically a single target damage option. In fact, I'd say at base, at like just it's like a sort of default sense, thermal exhaust feedback is actually technically probably its best single target option. It does really good single target damage without having to take a damage upgrade. And I can tell you that is probably my favourite Drac Overclock, and a video that I'm very excited to get around to. I think that Overclock is so awesome. Like, that might genuinely be the most fun Overclock to use for me in the game. Like, straight up. Okay, so, hold on. That's a detonator, right? Yeah, I thought so. But IFGs are very helpful because it really helps us just dance around the detonator without much trouble, all while dealing a lot more damage to it. Okay, that was pretty clean, I'd say. I'm not gonna call it in yet, because we've got to do that core stone first. Alright, let's get on with that. We'll keep an eye out for fossils as well. Okay. No, I'm not going to bother with the skull, though. I mean, I might, if I, like, notice. Yeah, it hasn't lost any health yet, so I'm not too worried at the moment. Not particularly interested. Yeah, this thing doesn't do great damage against the core stone. It's not terrible. And also, the thing is, pheromone bolts do control the core spawn quite well, but they're just really hard to hit. Like, if you should be safe with about 2 pheromone bolts on them. You know, two crawlers pheromone, basically. Kind of what you want to go for. You'll probably just try and shoot some for a bit, though. I think while my shield's up, I should try and actually just kill some outright. Also, this is actually really nice terrain for this as well, though. Like, very nice, wide, flat terrain. I can just sort of sling myself back and forth without much trouble. How did I hit that swarmer? That's like the opposite of what I want. Oh, I'm out of 5. I'm out of pheromone bolts. Okay. I'm sure we'll be okay. I mean, there you go. I mean, obviously the core, the core spawn kind of exacerbated that a bit because it made me use more than I normally would. It's like a normal horde probably, but it shows that taking the more pheromone bolts than usual was a good idea. Yes. Because typically when I take fire bolts, my focus there is really just very efficient crowd clearing, rather than the very good crowd control that the pheromone bolts provide themselves. They really just use them to turn enemies into sort of fire plumes, to set other enemies on fire, instead of using it for actual safety. In this case, fact that our focus for the pheromone bolts is really more on safety than specifically crowd clearing. Obviously, we're pretty much using fire bolts every time we use pheromone bolts, but given that the focus is a little bit more on safety, it just makes sense to have more pheromone bolts than usual, or than base. I think. I don't think there's any sort of illogicality in that. Right, there's our last fossil. We should get that nitro. No, actually, I mean, I'm probably not going to get enough for like 3 more resupplies. I've already got 1 cooled down, but I think we'll be okay. Right, I guess there could be something. Actually, not really. Could be a lost pack, but that's just not really important right now. Oh, pardon me. Okay. Well, I'm gonna sort of put this away. Alright. Let's get the mule ready, or whatever. They have arrived. Damn it. I didn't hit anything with that, did I? Which is fine. That means I guess I can retrieve it. Do you mind? Well, there you go. And remember, if you have armor breaking, you don't really need to go for the praetorian weak point. Their armor is thick, so it still takes some time to get through, even if you have armor breaking, so you're generally better off going for the flesh. But if you don't have a weak point bonus, don't need to hit the ass. Unless you actually have a specific weak point bonus on your weapon, you'll do the same damage to the ass as you do to the mouth, or any flesh that has its armor removed already. Alright, I'm just going to grab a Steve. I'm sure there are better options, but I need Steve just for crowd control, basically. Actually, I might use that goo bomber, now I think about it. Well, I need to pheromone something, basically. This is kind of what it turns into, to be honest. I need pheromone bolts. Safety. A little bit annoying. And just devolves into utter nonsense.
Back to the triangulation zone. Return to the triangulation zone. We're losing your connection. Please get back into the triangulation zone. We risk completely losing your signal.
Fresh one. Alright, cool. I'm glad I missed that. Okay. Thank God. Right. I need to resupply what I can. I'm probably overfilling myself on ammo, but let's dump some then, basically.
Triangulation at 75%, almost there.
Lights up!
God, acid spitters are annoying, aren't they? Also, I think this does allow the Drac to one-shot swarmers. Oh, maybe not. Ooh.
You spit acid! Well, I spit bullets!
Because I know it's a 2-shot at the Drac's base damage. I think it's probably 1-shot if you take the damage upgrade. Also, what is that? What is this? I don't want it there. Fuck. Actually, you know what? It's probably not actually that bad.
Supply drop has been ordered and is on the way.
Yeah, anyway, so this is where it suffers though. It suffers where, and that's kind of why I did a salvage drop, because I wanted to just sort of play into safety aspects of it, like I've already explained. But it's also the moments where it falls apart. It's when you're facing a lot of adversity in an enclosed space where staying at full shield is damn near impossible. So our damage is pretty much always hampered, and we have also just the general heat penalties. So we can't fight for too long, fear of completely collapsing our shield. So it does become quite haphazard using it in these scenarios. But I think I still want to push the envelope and show that it is like an Omni mission overclock. Because genuinely, every other context, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. This is probably the one where it faces the most adversity. Like, escort duty, for example, is fine. Because, you know, the thing that's at risk in escort duty is not really you, it's Director. But in these cases, you are kind of the Director in a salvage op, to be honest. It's kind of the way I see it. I know it's not, because you can fail the mission by staying out of the zone for too long, but maybe that makes some sense. Anyway, there's an oppressor coming, which is not terrible. It's not terrible news. We can definitely use it to our advantage. Because the oppressor will basically stay alive forever. There's two! Holy shit. This is more like it. Right. Basically, what the fuck? I'm probably going to want to keep the oppressors pheromoned at all given times.
Stay close to the fuel cells. You're jeopardizing the mission. You need to stay close to the fuel cells. At least one of you has to remain by the charging fuel cells. Get back there.
Obviously, they can take a lot of punishment on this kind of damage. In fact, I'm going to take a resupply while I can. They will probably knock me out of the zone again. There you go. But I think I should be able to take a resupply. Okay, here we go.
At least one of you has to remain by the charging fuel cells. Get back
Right,
there.
let's use that. Right, good. That press is still alive? It is. Good. Not going to be alive much longer.
At least one of you has to remain by the charging fuel cells. Get back there.
Yeah. These are also circumstances where stalkers are especially punishing. Okay, thank God I power attacked it. I just need to survive until the zone is complete. Okay, it's fine, fine. We've won. We've won. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Hold your ground. We're almost ready to pull you and the goods out. Hard reactor spooling up.
Let there be light. Don't let him flank you.
I'm not sure I've ever been killed like that by a goo bomber while I'm hovering.
Thanks, Foster.
First time for everything, I guess.
Slowing down traffic.
Calculating orbital trajectory.
On the call you hate.
Powering radiation shielding.
Clear. Charging. Got it right before the on. Restraining orders, sir.
ACABA operational. Hot thrusters calibrated. Drop on
Alright, let's get one more good. Oh shit.
It's time to bring it all home. Get on board, we're leaving with or without you.
I was saying, let's get one more good praetorian kill in. With shield battery booster. And we will. Okay, we won't. Everything wants to stop us from doing that.
Slow down, please.
Everything. Hi. Alright, let's actually... No, I'm just going to fireball these guys just for my own satisfaction. So, just forgive me. Alright, now we can go. Okay. Hopefully you saw some potential there. In terms of just, like, facing probably the worst kind of conditions for this overclock. And how pheromone bolts... When it's, like... I guess a bad salvage op, like a harsh salvage op. Pheromone bolts can just about pull you through. Okay, looks like I'm going to be fine as far as XP goes. But yeah, I think Shield Battery Booster still definitely helped us. The fact that I didn't overheat at any point means it was a complete net positive, having Shield Battery Booster. That is, I think, a really good way to look at it. You've absolutely gained killing speed and therefore potentially saved yourself multiple times, as long as you get through the mission without overheating. Obviously, if you do, chances are you still definitely gained something more than you lost, but it's basically a way to be 100% sure. Anyway, so in terms of the second mission, I know it can't be elimination. I kind of ruled off doing that. I think it's a bit too standard of a thing to do for a single target overclock. And we'll be using Cryo Minelets anyway. And Cryo Minelets are, shall we say, not good for dreadnoughts. Cryo bolts are, but of course there is a rule in place that stops that from happening, which is using the same of any of the other weapon. Right, so this is the build. So obviously my cryo build is this guy. It does not use a boomerang. This one does, and there's a good reason for that. Mainly because we're not really relying on our cryo aspects for any kind of airborne firepower. The Drax can handle all that by itself. Anyway, so this is damage Drac. So base damage is 11, so plus shield battery booster, that is 16.5 per shot. We've got increased fire rate, increased damage. Calling here because we need it. Like I said, armor breaking and no tier 5. There's a complete lifting of the veil. It's at a flat rate of fire. There's no way for us to accidentally and manually collapse our own shields. And we have Cryo Minelets. Cryo Minelets, you take ammo, you take magazine size, you take whatever you want here, you take blow through, you take get in, get out. It's a really nice way to precisely freeze enemies. I don't know why they look like that. That's really what it's about for me. It's about how precise they are at freezing. Unlike Cryo Bolts, Cryo Bolts have some really, really nice breakpoints. You know, 1 for a Warden, 2 for a Praetorian. I love those things, but Cryo Minelets do give us a bit more precision in terms of how you distribute that freezing power, basically. What was I using? Oh, Sleek. Okay. Yeah. And Stun Sweeper is there basically because it's actually... I find this is better for safety than Cryo Grenades are. So the Stun Sweeper is just a way for us to have, 8 charges of this thing that can just stun a group of enemies. Just lock them down. It's really a way to lock enemies down, like high priority enemies, that we don't necessarily want to expend Cryo Minelet ammo on. So I find that these are actually a really nice thing, or a really nice complement to a high damage shield battery booster build. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to have to really be on my A game here because deep scans, they're not quite the same as salvage ops, but they are still a mission type that can turn to shit in the last moments if you're not careful. Hopefully that won't be the case. But alas, hope is merely a notion. It is not a measurable object. Anyway. Oh, I'm actually excited to hear the road core soundtrack in isolation. Obviously, like I've said, there's that weird chance that the game is out as of this video coming out. But obviously, I don't know that for sure. Oh, freeze it. Yeah, it will. Perfect. All right. This is where you're going to see some X game shit. Hopefully, this will probably be potentially more fun than the previous build. Yeah, I like it. Alright, I'm not going to bother with secondary objective. Okay, Orion. So that should be enough, I think. Shit. Shit. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So that's about... Ooh. I actually don't know. I didn't really measure how much ammo that used overall, actually. Grunts don't necessarily need to use cryo mines against grunts, and you can use the cryo mines up a bit quickly. Like, oh shit. The cryo minelets are basically, or rather the Drak here is quicker at killing than the cryo minelets have the ammo for, basically. Basically, you'd need like double the cryo minelets to account for all the killing that this Drak can do by itself, if that makes any sense. I'm going to try my best to make that distribution more equal, but it probably won't be. If the weapons had like a kill count, not a kill count, I don't know. This isn't the most what I'm talking about is not the most quantifiable thing. But yeah, obviously it's definitely built to really capture those windows of insane damage, but we can still use it. Sort of unbiasedly if things just get a little bit hairy. Like, I don't have to stop myself from using it. I thought that might be the case. Right. Yeah, I don't have to stop myself from using it just because my shield's down, but I do, obviously in this build more so than the previous, we are seeking those windows of opportunity to deal like insane damage. As we have done with every praetorian we've encountered so far. That's not very nice. Alright, I'm going to get that done quickly, off screen. Warden. Now, Wardens I am very likely going to stun every time before attacking them, because it's genuinely, even if it's the only thing around for the stun sweeper to hit, it's kind of worth it, just to make sure it doesn't spawn anything. Because it's just so much more frustrating when that happens, and it's also so frustrating when you put down the cryo minelets and the Warden just moves, basically. So that's something we're avoiding by doing that too. I genuinely think it's worth it, because not that I necessarily want to use a whole stun sweep from one Warden, right? But I don't want to waste loads of cryo minelet ammo because it's running around, or have more enemies to deal with because I didn't stun it. So overall, stunning it is technically the most ammo efficient thing to do. Anyway, single praetorian, is that enough? Okay, so yeah, this is something I really should have taken better note of, but it looks like it's about 30. About 30 cryo minelet ammo. Right, this is going to be interesting. I am at full shield. Ooh, okay. I don't know if shield battery used to help me there, but it might have done. Like, genuinely, I'm not sure. But it felt like it might have, like, been constantly helping the shield start coming back in between the cave leech dealing damage. Oh god, no. A trawler. Trawler could actually be kind of tricky. Oh, we lost a bit of our shield there. Which is fine. The praetorians still go down, like immediately when they're frozen. Not immediately, but it's not a huge difference, necessarily. Shit, did I just overheat? I think I did. Crap. That's not good. Not good look. Oh well. Oh god, I've actually skewered my ammo usage towards the Drak somehow. Like, I want to actually quickly do something just a little bit weird, which is I'm going to kill this frozen praetorian with the Zhukovs. Yeah, as you can see, it's not that slow. Like, you can do it if you have to. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. Actually, I really wouldn't recommend it, but it's not out of the question, basically.
Flares recharging.
Yeah, obviously we have to account for the fact that we don't have a particularly direct source of crowd clearing. Okay. Right, I'm going to very quickly try and find a spot where I would feel good putting a resupply. I don't want to put it when I'm not near anything importance, I guess.
Lloyd is up.
Actually, no, I'll put it here because there's like a lot of nitro here anyway. Maybe even enough to get a resupply from. So let's go with that. All right.
Chance against us. The stalker prowls no more. Minutes.
There's another core stone here. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not. It's just not interesting enough, I think, to have two core stones play out in the same video. I know it might help to portray the differences between the builds, but I'm just not interested in failing to a core stone. I don't think it would happen. I think I'd actually have an easy. Frankly, I think it actually would be easier with this build than with the previous. But I just can't be bothered. Which I know isn't the best attitude, but I think I've already done one in this video, so you know, fuck off. Fuck you. Oh. Now, detonators. In terms of freezing them, I don't think we're going to bother. I don't know if it's even possible with cryo miners. The oppressor, I think I can do. Let's try that. Basically, you start. Anyway, so yeah, typically you'd start shooting before it freezes, which I tried to do there, but the angle got a little bit awkward right at the end. But yeah, okay, we are not. Oh shit! Oh, you know what? Fuck it. I think I've got the ammo to do this. Let's just see if this can work, because I don't actually know if it's feasible. Cryo mines. Okay, it is. Okay, I fucked it up there, but that's because I kind of wasn't expecting it to happen. Right, I didn't need to get a Steve there. He would have just died immediately. The detonator. Okay. In both cases, we've had pretty decent performance against a bulk detonator, though, which is I'm not saying it's something that you need, but I also don't think it's too far down on the list, because if you're caught with a build that basically just cannot kill a detonator, it's bad. I've had that before. It's where I think the PGL goes the most wrong. I think it just loses. It's like engineers primaries are not particularly good against detonators. They can be in some circumstances, but the point is, both of the other two secondaries can be pretty good, and the PGL just has absolutely no standing in that scenario. And I remember having that specifically happen to me and just being quite annoyed by it. I think that actually is part of what stained the PGL for me. Even though I know the PGL is a completely fine weapon, it is the worst of the three. I think I'm actually pretty comfortable saying that now, as I've come around to understand it better. It is definitely the worst at engineer secondary, but it is far from without merit. Right. I don't want to be here too long, because I want to go for a run. I don't want to go for a run before it gets dark, and that's not very long. Anyway. Oh, come on, mate. Mate! Now that right there was the cryo mine radius being bad. Alright, I am fucking up big style here because the grunts are refusing to get tamed. Hey, come here. Okay.
Nitro's been withdrawn, the supply pod is inbound.
Flares charging. Supply pod is here. Everybody connect ammunition.
Probably put that resupply too close to the horde actually, didn't I? Alright. God, I thought I crashed there. That would have been interesting. I've got to resupply. I have to. We did it. Jesus Christ. I was not sure that was going to happen.
Hostiles are backing down. Finish them.
Recharging. Preserve your bullets. Voltaic stun sweeper. Should have left my nose on the bloody spice ring.
Not getting a lot of the actual shield battery boosting right now. But that's okay, because obviously, really what it comes down to with this build is creating those opportunities against tankier enemies to just deal that damage to them. It's not going to happen with every swarm of grunts that we come across, you know.
Crawler down.
Dude.
Geode.
Right, well, I kind of got on with things. Don't worry, there's literally no enemies in between
I'm starting to
just now and right now. Completely clean. Anyway, yeah, I don't have the most confidence in how I'm going to approach this.
getting supplies.
Because I have found that if you use Cryo Minelets during this segment, just spraying it around on the walls does not really work. So I think I'm just going to have to be really aggressive. Which is something I'm just absolutely god-awful at doing. But we'll see. I will try my best. When have I ever let you down? Okay, quite dense group.
I'm maintaining the drill elevator.
You hit a layer of super dense rock. Hang tight while the drill elevator breaks through.
Right, so there's a warden there. So I don't think I hit it with the boomerang tool, but it would be nice if I did, but it looks like I didn't need to. Yeah, see, look at that. They kind of, the pathfinding the enemies is so sporadic with, like, when they're trying to get to you down this tunnel, they don't really go in straight lines all the time. That guard will probably never gonna get frozen, to be honest. And that warden, the way it's moving, just not ideal for us. It stopped there when I was like trying to track its movement. Like, it's like, okay, right. Yes, if you can load, if you can, in between like these little windows, if you can keep things in check, you can kind of use the stun sweeper to keep enemies away for the most part for the entire like thing. Except we're there, and I still have 4 stun sweepers left, so we've actually done perfectly fine. Not that I won't have to deal with a lot of that stuff, because I will, but we have gotten to the geode, and we're no longer under pressure of getting stuck in that thing. Actually a very nice geode. Very nice geode you have here. I mean, shit, I keep overheating. Now that is kind of embarrassing. I really shouldn't be doing that. Right, oh, as long as you don't overheat, you'll be fine. And you shouldn't have a problem with that. So I don't, but I do. Doing it a lot. So that's what I get for taking fire rate instead of less heat per shot in tier 1. But I think it aids the build enough to justify it. Also creates more of a difference as well. I don't want to literally be using the same thing. I'm already using armor breaking on both builds, which I didn't necessarily want to do. I originally had Cryo on this, but I encountered enough things like Stingtails and Brundles and Shellbacks, so I was like, I want armor breaking on this thing. I don't want to just be completely fucked when something with armor shows up. Okay.
Rock seriously needs to invest in some better
Right.
equipment.
Let's boogaloo. Let's get on with this. I'm to leave.
On the elevator. Use them to get out of the geode.
Never felt better.
Thanks. What are these guys doing?
Drop pod has arrived. The mule
Hi.
is called back. Drop pod departing in T-minus 5 minutes.
Light is up.
What the hell? Whoa! That trawler is falling so slowly. Fuck. What the hell? Oh, hi.
Lighting up.
I mean, look, what can I say? This part of the mission is very fun. The ultra powerful jet boots definitely do something for me.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 4 minutes.
You're a stain on the floor. Flares up. Better hurry.
Mule secured. Initiating launch sequence. Deep Rock Galactic thanks you for your good work. Drop
There you go.
pod will leave
I almost disassociated for a moment there, but it's fine. It's the end
extraction commencing. Good work.
of the video. Look at my giant hand, my tiny head. Shield battery booster is a absolutely fantastic overclock. It's such an interesting concept, and I do think Ghost should have a tendency for concepts to sometimes overbear them, and for the execution to always come out being a little bit off when it's only in terms of like really higher concept stuff. I think a good example would probably be Seasons. Certainly something like Rockpox. But I think this is an example of them really nailing a concept in the execution. Not literally the best overclock in the game, but it's definitely one of the Drax best. So highly recommended my highly recommended by me. And that's all I have to say on the matter. So if you enjoyed this episode of Overclock Showcase, please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this and you want to stay on top of everything to a deep rock and roll core. Also make sure to click that bell. And now it is time to find out what next week's Overclock is going to be. It's going to be for the Smart Rifle. We have done, of course, we've done Smart Trigger. We've also done Armor Break Module and Eraser, the two cleans. So we are left with the rest, which are all good. Seeker rounds, Explosive Chemical rounds, Executioner. They're all great. Now here's the thing, because I like all of these other three though, I would not necessarily mind getting Nero Lasso to get it out the way, because I know that what comes after will all be things that I like. Anyway, so if you don't know how this works, basically I have this this wheel. There it is. Oh, it's not quite aligned. I have this wheel. I spin the wheel and it gives me the number. So I'm just going to spin it. I usually do this thing where I go like, oh, I number it from left to right, top to bottom, and here are all the numbers. You'll see how it works. So it looks like we're going to get 2, which is fine by me, because 2 is, in fact, Seeker rounds, which I'm sure I have equipped somewhere. Ugh. So yeah, there's one. There's another one. Oh, look, there's 3. So yeah, here's the secret round. Actually, this guy's probably gonna be better to start with. So that'll be next week, secret round. Although hold on, but now what we have to do is have our shield battery booster themed drink. Yeah, I don't quite know what that looks like, but let's have a look. Yeah, smart stout, yes, probably.
Get a round of smart stout. Nice too.
But yeah, here you go. Here's your evidence that I'm recording this quite ahead of time. Halloween decorations.
Although gold is the most noble of the noble metals, it still forms many diverse compounds, meaning the oxidation state of gold in its compounds ranges from -1 to +5.
I don't know what happened to Joachim when recording that, but he sounds terrible. It's such, like, in that context, that sounds like such a terrible impression of the dwarves. Oh well. Bye.